Good evening, Mr. Greg. My name is Cecilia. I'm a student from Perth, and this evening I will do presentation about stolen generation. History on concept of stolen generation. So the stolen generation refers to period in Australia history where First Nation children were removed from their home and their family through assimilation government policies. So the assimilation government policies is one of the government ways to convince the First Nation people to join and become a part of a white society. So it starts from 1860s in Victoria. The state became the first state pass law First Nation people children to be removed from their home, and later on it's adopted by the other states and territories. And for centuries, thousands of First Nation children were taken. So systemically, they are taken from their families, from their communities, and from the culture as well. And they may never return to their home, or they may never know about their family. So these children known as the stolen generation or stolen children. And they were placed in over 480 institutions, adopted or fostered by non-indigenous people. So, and also the children were subjected as to an extreme discipline and brainwash. So the children, they get some of them they get education, but they also have to deny their own identity and culture and their language. Even they cannot speak their own language, and they will get a punishment if they do so. So all the first First Nation children have to do is learn in a wide ways. So why it's a children? Because the children were specifically targeted because they were more likely to accept the way they were told, right? And it's also easy for the government to teach them a new culture. So most likely they will forget about their own identity. What's the significance of stolen generation for First Nation people? So First Nation children, they usually experience physically and sexual abuse, and most of the stolen generation may never knew and disconnect from their biological families and culture. They also devastating effect on the deep cultural knowledge. That means that they do not know their identity. They don't have anymore the deep root or deep knowledge about their own culture. And also because they got brainwashed, since they were kids, they learn about how the white ways do. So sometimes not sometimes, but often they feel ashamed of their own heritage or their identity. And also a stolen wages, that means that because the First Nation children, they were removed from their home, and maybe they didn't get, or they just have a very little education, so they are subjected, or the purpose from the government is to put them as a minimal laborers, or just minimum laborers. That's the meaning of stolen wages. So what's the impact from the stolen generations? Okay, I will take you to watch one of the video from here.
Hi, my name is Florence Onis, and my people are from the Birragubba Nations. On my father's side, the Birri people of the Townsville, down to the Burdekin and Bowen region, and on my mother's side, I'm Kairi Bidjara Jagalingu from Central Queensland. I'm the fourth generation of my family who have all suffered institutionalisation through policies of protection and assimilation. My great-grandparents were first forcibly removed off their land and sent to Woorabinda Aboriginal Reserve, alongside with my grandparents, who were young parents at the time, and also my mother and her siblings, who were very young children at the time, were sent to Woorabinda. When my mother became an adult and had her own children, my two eldest sisters were forcibly taken and sent to live with the Catholic nuns. And then myself and my two other siblings were taken off my mum and sent to the local orphanage here in Townsville, and then sent out to a foster home where we lived with our foster family until our adolescent years. For me, as an adult and as a mother and a grandmother, although that history is a horrific history, and we've suffered a lot of loss in our families through the intergenerational trauma that has occurred through alcoholism and other areas of attempted suicide. For me, as a child growing up in a foster home, I made a decision that when I became a mother, that I would ensure that my children would never be removed from me. And so for me, I've been on a healing journey for the past 25 years of my life, and I'm still on that healing journey. And for me, yes, that is our history and that is our past, and it has had a major impact on my family and all of my people. However, I believe that moving forward from here to the future, the only way to move forward is through healing. I have participated in a number of healing therapies, both Western and cultural therapies, going to see psychologists and counsellors, but I've also participated in art therapy through culture, through visual art and through dance and through song, and other areas of smoking, healing therapies. And so this has all contributed to my healing journey over the past, and I will continue on that journey. On my healing journey in promoting healing services around the nation, people have said to me, non-Indigenous Australians, Florence, what are you healing from? And, that question just really astounded me, that they have no idea. There are many Australians who have no idea about what we're healing from. So I believe that through education and awareness, a lot more needs to be done at the state level and the federal level to ensure that the true history, the Indigenous history, is told through education.
So as we can see from the YouTube that they are still having intergenerational trauma, that it's affect them and could affect the grandchildren and also the future generations of the stolen generations. So the intergenerational trauma also has been confirmed by medical experts who note a high incidence of post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, depression, anxiety, and suicide among those who are affected by the policy, because there's many children were psychologically, physically, and sexually abused when they were living with the state care or with their adoptive family or with the foster family. So and also survivor from stolen generation facing poorer health and well-being. This is from AIHW. There are more than 27,000 survivors of stolen generation age 50 and above. They are face poor outcomes across a range of health and social economic. They face a lot of challenges. For example, they only rely on the government payments as a source main income. They're not owing home, and they even didn't have an access to emergency funds. And the other impact is in 1998, thousands of Australians they are participate in Sorry Book campaign. So this is famous as well as the People's Apology from Australian that coming to Australia to the First Nation people. And also between 1997 to 99, official parliaments in all states and territory officially apologized to the stolen generation survivors. So what should we consider in practice if we working within the stolen generation? This is from the Healing Foundation that we have a several consideration that we need in a practice as a social worker. The first is trauma-informed practice. It's by recognize the trauma that many people carry and also their family, and see how this can be reflected in the response and the actions. So the family and the communities in general, it is important to recognize the trauma and also try to avoid the trigger for stolen generations. For example, it's like try to avoid the conversation that can remind them of their childhood trauma, clinical and institutional environments, or any government authority or language that is used. Second one is knowledge the courage, dignity, and resilience of a stolen generation and First Nation communities. Draw strengths in their identity, culture, and community, and create a safe environment for First Nation people, and ensure facilities and services are culturally friendly. This means that culturally friendly mean there is no assault, challenge, or denial of their identity, experience, or their aspirations as well. And if possible, add a text box for the new patient's form. So if there is a new patient from First Nation people, we can add like if they are a stolen generation or not. This can help us to identify them and to avoid the triggers that I mentioned before. So it will create a safe environment for the stolen generation survivor as well, and ensure they know their rights. That means that encourage them to speak up if something is not being respected, and we have to support them to do so. For example, who to go and what the process if they want to have a complaint about that. Make or build partnership with trusted third parties. That means that we can try to build the good relationship with the third parties. That means with the communities or the link up organization to give a better support for the stolen generation patients. training for cultural awareness or safety. So we have to try to update and upgrade ourselves as a social worker to get a training about the First Nation people or about the stolen generation, so we can create the cultural awareness that's specific to that area. This is what I'm talking about, the culturally respectful relationship and cultural courage. Is the first one by knowledge. We need to upgrade about the Western and indigenous worldviews, community protocols, history of community, history of social work with indigenous people, about colonization, connection to the country, their spirituality, their stories, their language, social justice, about human rights and cultural safety. And also we need to update our skills as well, like how to deep listening, empathy, do the observation, reflection, language, and also how to communicate with them. And for the values, we have to upgrade our values with the respect, trust, humanity, genuine, authentic, client, and as communicative, being a communicative. We have to also learn about journey of self, critical awareness of family, biography, identities, roles, personal value, motivation to work with indigenous people. So I add another slide about what we have to consider to avoid. It's like making assumption. That means it's same as like a assumption or judgment. Like for example, we think that the First Nation people or the stolen generation, we know what they need, but we just have to work together to figure it out what they need, right? And about their or judgment or assumption about their literacy, level of literacy, about the decision making, and about who they would like to share the information with, shining torches in people's eyes or face. So yeah, I heard that the First Nation people, they don't really like it if you talk with them with the eye contact. So try to avoid eye contact too deep, or making a negative statement. This is like something negative statement means here is we talk or try to push them to forget or deny about their trauma. Like for example, try to avoid a statement or words like come on, you have to move on, or you have to forget about your past, you have to just living your best life, let's say. But yeah, it's try to avoid to make a negative statement about that. And shouting or talking slowly right in front of their face, it could make them feel uncomfortable, because it could show your assumption about their ability of understand. Like you just assume that they maybe not understand about what you're saying, so better to avoid. And the last one is ethical consideration on the field. So according to AASW Code of Ethics in 2022, this is from my own reflection, is respect for person. That's mean by respect the human rights of individual or groups, recognize and respect their group identity and culture. And social justice, to promote justice and fairness, and we can advocate change to social systems. And as a professional integrity, to promote and facilitate lifelong learning, education, and training. Like I mentioned before, maybe we have to update update and upgrade ourselves with some training, especially for the cultural safety and cultural awareness. I think it's really important for us to learning more and always update about their culture as well. And anti-racism, here we turn to like being a racist to them, to individual, or to their community, or also their institutional. And that's all. Here is the references. That's my presentation for this evening. Thank you so much. I hope I do it good today and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.